Tonight, a 911 call, a possibility of hypothermia, and a police detention. As a group of 10 people risk their lives to cross the Canada-US border. One of them is reported to be missing. And a possible face-off between two Palestinian opposition parties, as Fatah and Hamas meet Saudi's bin Salman. The ruler promises ongoing support to the Palestinian cause. Later in the show, how does Atlantic Canada prepare for Eid? Rana Zaman talks about the festivities in Halifax.
And most importantly, that the food is scheduled to arrive. The units to keep the food hot has to be prepared.
Assalamu alaikum and good evening. This is Muslim News Canada on Muslim Network TV. I'm Catherine Bullock. 9 people from a group of 10 have been detained for illegally crossing early yesterday morning the Canada-United States border. According to a Minnesota sheriff, the group made the crossing near Sprague in Manitoba. They made a call to 911 as they were suffering from hypothermia. The sheriff says some of them have been transferred to a hospital. According to the US Customs and Border Protection Agency, 7 of the 9 people do not have proper documentation to be legally present in the US. The Manitoba RCMP is conducting a search and rescue to locate the missing person. After failed negotiations between the Public Service Alliance of Canada and the federal government, picket lines were set up in Northern Ontario. As of today, around 6,000 federal government workers were on strike in Sudbury, North Bay, Timmins, and Kirkland Lake. In Sudbury, there are 3,000 unionised people who work for the Canada Revenue Agency. The region's union representative, Chris Foucault, says it is shocking that an agreement could not be reached yesterday. Foucault says the biggest reason for the strike is that salaries are not keeping up with the increasing inflation. He says no pay raise with increasing inflation translates to a pay decrease. Gallup has polled people in 13 Muslim-majority countries asking them what they think of Saudi Arabia's leadership as compared to Iran. And the results published yesterday show a higher approval of Saudi Arabia than Iran across the board. Iran received its lowest ratings from the countries where it is believed to be involved in its internal affairs: Iraq, Yemen, and Lebanon. In Iraq, 86% of those surveyed hold a negative view of Iran's leadership. In Yemen, it was 80%, and in Lebanon, 73%. Saudi Arabia scored a 39% median approval rating, with Iran getting 14%. Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas is on a visit to Saudi Arabia. He has met with Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman in Jeddah to discuss the latest developments in the occupied territories. According to Palestinian media, the two sides talked about Palestinian-Saudi relations, regional developments, and ways to strengthen bilateral coordination at all levels. During the meeting, Abbas praised Saudi support for Palestinians to regain their legitimate independence and sovereignty. Bin Salman, for his part, repeated the kingdom's firm stances in support of the Palestinian cause. Abbas's visit coincides with the arrival of Hamas chief Ismail Haniyeh in the kingdom. It is not yet clear whether the two Palestinian rivals will meet. Please stay tuned. We will join you after a short break.
Assalamu alaikum and Ramadan Mubarak. I'm here to ask you to support something which we are watching right now, Muslim Network Television. Just like PBS, NPR, or even your masjid, we depend on your donations. We broadcast Muslims, we put Muslims on air, we bring good news, we counter negative media with positive media. And here is an example. When the terrible earthquakes hit Turkey and Syria, Muslim Americans donated $100 million within 5 days. That was more than what US government gave in the same time. Getting our news out is what Muslim Network does. This Ramadan, stand for your community. Donate to Muslim Network. Do it now. Visit muslimnetworktv. Thank you so much, and Assalamu alaikum.
Halifax resident Rana Zaman is a well-known social justice advocate in the community. She is founder of the Pakistani Canadian Association of Nova Scotia. She sits on at least half a dozen committees and boards, has fundraised for Syrian refugees, and does food and clothing drops for the homeless and low-income people in her area. To find out how the Halifax community is preparing for Eid, she joins us now. Assalamu alaikum and welcome to the show.
Wa alaikum salam. Jazakallah khair for having me, Sister Kathy.
Well, yeah, thanks for joining us. Let's just take a moment. We covered on the news yesterday, it was the commemoration of the 3rd anniversary of the worst mass shooting in Canadian history that took place in Nova Scotia there. And the flags were at half-mast. I'm just wondering how the Muslim community felt, affected by this commemoration, or, what it was like to be doing Ramadan at the same time.
I cannot speak on behalf of all the Muslims in Halifax, Nova Scotia, but I myself and, people who are part of the, let's say, activist community can say it's a tragedy that I don't think we will ever overcome as a community. And it was something that we can perhaps, moving forward from it, if there was significant changes in what's taking place around the country. In fact, I'm sure you're aware, you're in Ontario, the latest Islamophobic attacks on the masjids that are taking place in Markham and other places. As well as I was informed very recently on, I believe, Saturday, April 8th, just basically last week, someone contacted me saying a young Muslim girl was attacked on a public bus transit and by other young women, and her hijab was pulled off her head, and other patrons were just basically watching, not helping, and the city bus driver, did also nothing to help or interfere to stop the harassment. And
so this show could turn into a conversation about Islamophobia, which of course is important, but we do want to focus on Eid. So let's jump over the communities in places like Toronto. We often have a disagreement between different mosques about which day Eid will be. And it's got to do with the calculation versus the moon sighting debate. So some people have Eid on Friday and some people have Eid on Saturday. And I'm wondering if this is a disagreement that also is in Halifax, or the community is small enough to have reached a sort of a unity.
At one point we do have unity, but unfortunately there still tends to be different factions who wish to follow the traditional way, where others will follow Saudi Arabia, and some will just go by the scientific calendar.
Which day is Eid for you then this year?
I, as a member of Pecans, we're hosting an Eid dinner for our community. And we too are ambiguous about which date. We have reserved the venue and gave them 2 days, Friday or Saturday. So I can tell you right there where we're stuck.
Well, they must find that really weird. How do you explain that? Yes, we want to have a date, but we're not sure yet, Friday or Saturday.
Well, they do, but they're understanding, because there's a lot of cultural understanding now, the significance of moon sighting, because following the lunar calendar is not unusual. It still happens in many, many cultures, but makes it difficult for the venues, because they now have an offer for one of the other dates, and they're stuck with holding both dates for us, which means they lose revenue. So we decided next year we are going to pick a date and kind of stick to it, because it's unfair to put venues into that, quandary of lost income.
And the Pakistani Canadian Association of Nova Scotia, how many Pakistanis are there? Like, how many people do you expect to attend the event?
For the event this year, mashallah, we are going to have about approximately 270 people. And if we had a venue that was larger, and also if we had more of a volunteer staff, we could have actually hosted a larger event. But in order for that, members need to come forward to help us organize and do the work, and as well as to find a venue that's affordable in our budget to host a larger congregation. But mashallah, we have 270 patron members who have signed up.
That is a big gathering, and you're right, that's like an army of volunteers.
Yes.
But then will it all be Pakistani, or is it going to be mixed?
So this one is for our members, and so they're given first dibs, the Pakistani Canadian Association, and our mashallah community has grown quite a bit. So there's still a larger number of Pakistanis as well. But this event is focusing on the Pakistani members. Some are paid patron members, and some are just members. Difference, obviously, when you're paid, you become a voting member as well. And the ones who are unpaid are able to participate in everything except for the voting process.
Tell us, let's pretend it's the evening and we're sitting at a table. What's going to be the program?
So the program is going to be, well, for the volunteers, starts quite early. They will be going there to set up the tables and the decor. And I've been assigned to get the gifts that are going to be passed out. So I did my shopping and taking in the bags and making sure, obviously, all the drinks, everything is there. And most importantly, that the food is scheduled to arrive. The units to keep the food hot has to be prepared and set up. I'm sure, people who do these actual events know what goes into the preparation prior to, and then after the cleanup is just as hectic. But at least there's a sense of satisfaction. So lots of prayers will go into this, and especially that the food is to everyone's liking.
Hopefully it will. Will there be speeches and Quran recitations, or is it just going to be a dinner?
No, we do speeches as well, and usually we invite young people. I'm not sure what the actual program is this year. Last year we did have young people come up and do some speeches and presentations. The whole idea is to empower and support our youth and make them feel like they're part of a community, and also to let the community know that there is a platform that is there for them in case there's needs that arises. In various ways for the community. So
that's going to be my next question, actually. Like, why do you think it's important to organize this kind of event? Why you're pouring so much energy into it? Why does it matter?
For me personally, why I started the organization. So, as the founder, that the reason I started is because when I came here, there was not much diversity. And as my children grew up, they really did not have their peers to interact and to carry on forward with pride about their culture. So it was important for me to have what was missing in my children's life and my life, for our Pakistani community members to have that. And the numbers are growing. The immigration has picked up in Nova Scotia, especially due to an aging population. So a lot of young people are coming in. And I didn't want them to have the same barriers, at least help with some of those barriers. And also the idea of supporting newcomers with the basic questions about, residences, groceries, moral support, social support, because you go through a lot of depression because of culture shock as well. And to have a sense of belonging and solidarity.
So sort of filling that vacuum, filling the void, void and belonging.
Yes, exactly. And to be able to be proud of your heritage. Canada, that's the wonderful thing about it, does allow you to retain your identity. It's not as Americans say, a huge melting pot where you're not forced, but you end up being part of just one society. Here, we actually celebrate through multiculturalism and the various events that we do our diverse identities. And Pakistani kids, it's very important for them to be able to understand their identity, and they're so excited to share their identity with others. And that's why we have these events. We have festivals, multicultural festivals, or that we invite. We celebrate Pakistan Day, the community to join. And I think one event I remember had like 1,600 people come and go for that event. Now we've done a Ramadan bazaar where they actually had stalls of different items set up, and that a diversified group of people came and set up the stalls, and lots of food was there, and it was a hit.
Well, we congratulate you for all this work. We're out of time for the interview, but we hope you have a happy Eid and a very, very successful dinner on Eid Day. Thanks for joining us, and assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam, and jazakallah khair for having me. It was an honor.
Thank you for watching. We need your support for donations. Please scan the QR code on the broadcast or go to our website, muslimnetworktv, to make a donation so that we can continue to amplify the voices of Muslims in Canada and abroad.